Welcome to the Lost in History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. The electric chair at Sing Sing Prison in Ossining, New York, was installed in the early 20th century as the official method of execution. Housed in an isolated chamber, it became one of the era's most infamous penal symbols. Kneeling men await the carrying out of a public sentence in China in 1908. Photographed toward the end of the Qing dynasty, the scene depicts a harsh, common justice practice overseen by local officials. Debbie Harry performs energetically at a live concert in the 1970s. With her distinctive style and confident attitude, she became the face of Blondie and an icon of the rising punk and new wave movement. A MiG-21 fighter jet collided with a residential building in East Germany in 1975 after losing control during a training flight. A steelworker reaches toward the tip of the Chrysler Building while working on the Empire State Building in New York City in 1931. The photo creates the illusion that he's touching the skyscraper's peak in the background. Workers take a lunch break, suspended over the River Thames in London in 1934. Seated on narrow beams during the construction of a bridge or elevated structure, they share their meal with a panoramic view of the city. St. Pancras Station in London was struck multiple times during World War II air raids. The worst attack came in May 1941, when 5 bombs hit the structure, inflicting significant damage. The view from atop St. Paul's Cathedral shows London partially destroyed after the 1942 air raids. Amid the rubble and smoke, the cathedral's dome remained intact, becoming a symbol of resilience for the British people. The battleship HMS Warspite sits in dry dock in 1916, displaying damage from a 12-inch shell. The ship was hit during the Battle of Jutland, the largest naval clash of World War I. A dust storm rolls over Amarillo, Texas, in a scene typical of the 1930s Dust Bowl era. Strong winds lifted layers of dry earth, darkening the sky and impacting crops, homes, and residents' health. The cable ship C.S. Mackay Bennett was dispatched to the Titanic wreck site and began recovery operations 8 days after the 1912 sinking. American soldiers crossed one of Venice's canals in amphibious vehicles in 1945 alongside traditional gondolas and local boats. The scene shows Allied forces present shortly after the city's liberation at the end of World War II. The rozgi is a traditional cane used in some South Asian prisons for corporal punishment. Made of bundled wooden sticks, the instrument was employed as a disciplinary tool in past penal systems. Kindergarten children in Arkhangelsk take part in a group activity in 1968. Wearing standard winter uniforms, they are part of the Soviet educational system, focused on discipline, social integration, and early learning. Yugoslav flight attendant Vesna Vulovic survived a fall from about 33,000 feet after her plane exploded in 1972. She was the sole survivor and was found trapped in the wreckage with multiple severe injuries. 2 technicians wear full protective suits in the corridors of the Kiev Nuclear Research Institute during the 1970s. Residents of Louisville, Kentucky, stand in line for aid during the Great Depression. In the background, a large billboard reads, "The American Way," promoting optimism and prosperity amid severe hardship. A child flies a kite made of banknotes in Germany in 1923 during the hyperinflation period. Nerissa and Catherine Bowes Lyon, first cousins of Queen Elizabeth II, lived in an institution in the United Kingdom due to severe cognitive disabilities. Born in the 1910s and 1920s, they were kept out of the public eye for decades. A woman looks at nearly empty store windows during the final days of the Soviet Union in 1991. The space, with few products and simple decor, reflects the era's economic collapse, marked by shortages, rationing, and uncertainty. Engineers from the Kyrgyz Radio and Television Center adjust a large parabolic antenna at a retransmission station on one of the Tian Shan mountain peaks in 1974. German children fly a kite made of banknotes during the hyperinflation period in 1923. With the currency's value drastically diminished, money became so plentiful it was used for everyday activities like toys or scrap paper. A man and his dog survey the view from atop a rock at Yosemite National Park in 1924. Both stand at the edge of a cliff with the iconic half-dome visible in the background. A worker paints the Blackpool Tower while balanced high on its upper framework, with a panoramic view of the town below. A column of Federal Army wagons moves out of Atlanta during General William T. Sherman's March to the Sea in 1864. The campaign, part of the American Civil War, aimed to cripple the South's infrastructure. The U.S. Navy airship USS Macon launches one of its Curtiss F-9C2 Sparrowhawk fighters mid-flight during the 1930s. The ship Marine Angel, 600 feet long and 70 feet wide, navigated the Chicago River on March 5, 1953. The maneuver drew attention for the precision required to steer such a large vessel through the narrow urban waterways. Heinz Meixner ingeniously escaped East Germany in 1963 by removing his car's windshield so it could fit under the security barrier at Checkpoint Charlie in Berlin. The quick maneuver let him cross safely into West Berlin. A massive MG cylinder is hauled by a steam locomotive operated by Pickfords in 1938 in the United Kingdom. The component was part of automotive industrial production and required special equipment for safe transport. The shortest, tallest, and heaviest men in Europe pose playing cards together in 1913. The scene was captured as part of public exhibitions and fairs, where people with unusual characteristics were presented as attractions. In 1916, an entire building was transported on a barge along Ohio's waterways, drawing local residents who watched the operation from the shore. A high-speed hydrofoil crosses the Moscow River in 1969, standing out with its sleek, modern design. In the background, Soviet apartment blocks and historic buildings shape the capital's urban landscape. Workers sweep the New York Stock Exchange floor the day after the Wall Street crash in 1929. Papers and records litter the floor, after one of the most chaotic days in financial history, marking the start of the Great Depression. A woman demonstrates a sun bath machine in 1949 at the annual Automatic Machines Convention in Chicago. The device simulated sunlight with special lamps, offering indoor artificial tanning. A woman sits calmly in a Paris cafe with her pet cheetah beside her in 1932. The leashed animal draws stares from passers-by as its owner enjoys the moment as if it were perfectly ordinary. Mary Monroe Sanderson, born in 1748 in Lexington, Massachusetts, lived until 1852 and is among the oldest individuals ever captured in a photograph. She was born before American independence and witnessed profound historical changes during her lifetime. Teenagers gather for Saturday night street races in 1957, driving modified cars in an adrenaline-charged scene. It evokes the vibe later immortalized in the film Grease, with roaring engines, dim lights, and cheering onlookers. An automatic milk vending machine was installed on a London street in the 1940s. With its simple, functional design, it allowed residents to purchase fresh milk without a store or attendant, especially useful during rationing. The Cunard Ocean Liner. Queen Mary sits in dry dock undergoing repainting. Built in the 1930s, the ship was a symbol of luxury and speed on North Atlantic crossings. Two Victorian gentlemen pose with only their feet visible in a curious 1870s photograph. Wearing polished shoes and formal trousers, they follow the era's style, though the reason for this unusual composition remains unknown. Scotland Yard clerks worked in the records room during the 1920s, before computers existed. Thousands of index cards and documents were manually filed on shelves and in cabinets, requiring constant precision and care. The cook shop on Drury Lane, photographed in 1877, was infamous for drawing gang members and underworld figures. Located in a busy part of the city, the small eatery served quick meals at low prices. Monumental Egyptian statues were displayed inside the Great Exhibition at the Crystal Palace in Hyde Park, London. Held in 1851, the event brought together artifacts from around the world, showcasing cultural, industrial, and archaeological achievements. Sergeant Alvin York, one of the most decorated U.S. soldiers of World War I, returns home in 1919. After his overseas service, he was greeted by his mother and community with great pride and acclaim. Fishermen display a freshly caught halibut on an Amsterdam street in 1913. The impressively large fish is carted by local traders, drawing curious stares from passers-by. Equestrian events made their Olympic debut at the 1912 Stockholm Games. Swedish rider Axel Nordlander stood out by winning 2 gold medals in the horse competitions. During the 1940s, students took part in wartime emergency drills. They were instructed to stay away from windows and take cover under desks in the event of an air raid warning. The building known as the WWII Roundhouse was transported along the River Thames in London in 1917. The circular prefab structure, with its distinctive roof, was barged to its final location. Charles Stuart Rolls and Henry Royce founded Rolls-Royce in 1906 in the United Kingdom. Royce's technical expertise combined with Rolls's commercial vision to create luxury cars renowned for their quality and performance. The Electrobus ran through London's streets in the early 20th century as one of the first electric buses. Operating between 1907 and 1910, it provided a silent, smoke-free alternative to combustion engines. Katie Sanduina, known as Lady Hercules, performed as a strongwoman on the vaudeville stage around 1910. With extraordinary strength, she lifted weights, grown men, and even animals during her live acts. Women wash clothes in the river on a typical laundry day in Nice, France, in 1908. The scene shows dozens of washerwomen kneeling on the bank, scrubbing fabric by hand, while dry sheets hang in the background. A caretaker shelters a shoe bill in her bathroom after an emergency at the Berlin Zoo around 1945. With damaged facilities and scarce resources, staff improvised spaces in their homes to protect the animals. Vintage brand and product signs cover a wall in Cascade, Idaho, in 1941. The display features gasoline, beverage, tire, and store signage, reflecting the era's graphic style. Today, such pieces would be highly prized by collectors. Waiters compete in the traditional annual race in Soho, London, in 1955. Balancing bottles and trays, they race through the neighborhood in a contest celebrating skill, speed, and balance on the job. Children play freely in Washington Park in a scene reflecting an era when outdoor fun was simple and spontaneous. With no cell phones or screens, they run, jump, and explore the space with joy and imagination. A double-decker bus travels London's streets in 1928, passing alongside a small motor car driven by a child. The scene contrasts the imposing size of public transport with the playful miniature that drew pedestrians' attention. A couple poses in a bison-drawn wagon in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in 1900. Using these native animals for draft was unusual and drew attention for their strength and majesty. 5 women have fun on a staircase during the 1920s, posing in relaxed, spontaneous ways. Wearing typical period dresses and joyful expressions, they embody the light-hearted, irreverent spirit of post-war youth. The Hindenburg's Dining Lounge in the 1920s offered an elegant setting with large windows, upholstered chairs, and well-set tables. A Ford Model A sits on a lubrication platform in a lube seal garage in 1930. Technicians carry out preventive maintenance, greasing key mechanical points like the suspension and axle. A sergeant feeds a kitten with a dropper in a moment of care documented during military service. The fragile animal receives special attention in the soldier's hands. 2 men pose beside a Coca-Cola delivery truck in the 1910s. Featuring the logo and detailed illustrations, the vehicle was part of the fleet expanding soda distribution across the United States. Jim Henson poses with the newly built Rolf puppet in 1963. Created for television commercials, Rolf quickly became one of Henson's most charismatic characters, known for playing the piano and having a calm, witty personality. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver celebrate their wedding in 1986 at a ceremony in Hyannis, Massachusetts. He, a renowned Hollywood star and bodybuilder, and she, a journalist and Kennedy family member, united two prominent American public figures. A cyclist from Tarvastu, Estonia, poses with his wooden bicycle in 1912. The handcrafted model featured a simple frame, solid wheels, and an improvised handlebar, showcasing local creativity and skill. Workers labor inside a Harley-Davidson factory during the 1920s. The motorcycles on the assembly line reflect the brand's expansion and the growth of the U.S. vehicle industry. Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson appeared together in the mid-1970s as they began a relationship that would become one of Hollywood's most talked about. Both were early in their careers and stood out for their youth and style. Albert Einstein teaches physics to a group of students at Lincoln University in May 1946. Founded for African Americans, the university hosted Einstein for a rare visit, during which he also spoke on equality and social justice. Workers removed streetcar rails on 3rd Avenue in Seattle in 1943. The removal was part of the city's shift in urban transit toward prioritizing buses and automobiles in subsequent decades. A modern rural kitchen in the United States during the 1930s showcases the domestic advancements of the era. The space includes a wood-burning stove, a plumbed sink, and neatly organized utensils, reflecting the shift from traditional to functional. Production of the Volkswagen Type II, also known as the Kombi or Transporter, takes place at the Wolfsburg factory in Germany during the 1950s. President Richard Nixon offers a Pepsi Cola to Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev at the American National Exhibition in Moscow in 1959. The gesture occurred during the famous Kitchen Debate, a symbolic dialogue between the two nations amid the Cold War. An Italian girl offers spaghetti to a British soldier in September 1943 during the Allied campaign in Italy. Workers installed telephone lines in Cortland, Kansas in 1903, marking the advance of communications in rural America. Wooden poles line the roads as the new system connected communities to the rest of the country. The future King George V of the United Kingdom and Tsar Nicholas II of Russia posed together in the 1890s. Blood cousins, the two monarchs shared striking physical similarities and familial ties to Queen Victoria. A man cradles a small donkey in his arms as if rocking a baby. The photo's lower caption reads, "Rock-a-bye baby," suggesting humor and affection in the scene. William Beebe is seen inside the bathysphere in 1930 during a pioneering deep-sea exploration. The pressurized metal sphere allowed him to observe deep ocean creatures in their natural habitat for the first time. The construction of the Catskill Aqueduct system, one of the world's largest engineering projects, took place between 1906 and 1915. The endeavor involved tunnels, dams, and reservoirs to transport drinking water from the northern highlands to New York City. The Soviet Belaz 540 mining truck was widely used in the 1970s for major construction projects and extraction mines. Designed to haul tons of material, it was known for its robustness and efficiency in the USSR's rugged terrain. Edward Cook represented the United States in pole vault at the early 20th century London Olympics. He won the gold medal competing on a basic runway with only a sand landing pit. Lady Florence Norman rides a motor scooter through London's streets in 1916. The then novel vehicle offered practical city mobility. She used it to commute to her job as an office inspector. Between 1931 and 1934, artist Ola Kohn spent 3 years carving gnomes, fairies, and animals into a fallen red gum tree trunk in Fitzroy Gardens, East Melbourne. She turned the site into an enchanted outdoor artwork. West Ham supporters lift a boy to the front of the stands to watch the match in a mid-20th century stadium scene. The gesture reflects fan camaraderie and the welcoming spirit typical of English football matches. A young Steve McQueen appears serving as a tank mechanic and driver in the U.S. Marine Corps. Before his movie stardom, he served in armored units, showing discipline and technical skill. Leadenhall Market, pictured in 1920, dates back to the 14th century. Located in the heart of the City of London, it was built atop the ruins of the ancient Roman Forum of Londinium. Performer Diane Belmont, photographed on Broadway in 1940, later became world famous as Lucille Ball. Before her television success, she worked as a model and actress in stage shows and comedy films. Audrey Hepburn takes a ballet class in the early 1950s, still young and before achieving worldwide fame as an actress. With elegant posture and focused movements, she trained intensely in pursuit of a dance career. A family prepares to ride in their 1903 Cadillac Model A tonneau. Dressed in the era's elegant attire, they settle into the open car, which symbolized luxury and innovation at the dawn of the automotive age in the United States. Newborns are fed at a maternity hospital in Moscow in 1957. Nurses prepare bottles as the babies lie in aligned cribs, reflecting the collective care approach typical of Soviet-era healthcare. During a break-in filming The Empire Strikes Back in 1980, the actor in the Darth Vader costume is caught resting on a mattress amid the Imperial ship set. The informal moment contrasts sharply with the character's dark on-screen presence. Albert Einstein teaches physics to a group of students at Lincoln University in May 1946. Founded for African Americans, the university hosted Einstein for a rare visit, during which he also spoke on equality and social justice. A young Italian street performer entertains children on a busy street in 1877. With his hand-cranked organ and colorful costume, he captivates the youngsters with music and theatrical gestures, while adults look on in the background. A 1940s U.S. sign shows the breakdown of gasoline pricing, 20 cents per gallon, with most of that covering taxes. The board details how much went toward fuel costs and how much to state and federal levies.